Women can be bad in bed too, and most don't even know it. Society gives them a pass. You hear a lot about guys that are bad in bed, the orgasm gap, 1-minute men, guys that refuse to go down on girls at all, small penises, etc. It's politically correct to criticize men, and women are always willing to complain. But in my personal experience and talk with my successful with women male friends, women are quite likely to be bad and selfish in bed. I don't sleep with men, so I don't have a clue about men, but a sizable minority of women exhibit almost all of these traits. Doesn't move and is only a passive recipient of pleasure. Foreplay is only for her, never for you. Frozen hands never move or stimulate partner. Unnatural revulsion at seminal fluid. Always wants to be on bottom. Rarely initiate. Lack enthusiasm. Thinks penetrative sex must be so good for men that it's all they need to offer in bed to be great. Unwilling to discuss it or super defensive and projecting if their partner brings it up. Maybe it's the constant cheerleading or the constant male libido, but don't be fooled, ladies, some of y'all are garbage in the ol' sack. Personally, I think some men are so thirsty these girls never know they are a potato in the sheets. I am aware this is likely to get me roasted on a stick, but it's r/unpopular opinion, so. I take it you never heard the term "she was a dead fish." Just use a coconut like a normal person. AHH, the famous starfish. My favorite response to "fuck you" is "you'd hate it, I just lie there." Lately my boyfriend told me he was tired of doing all of the work. I'm super comfortable with him, so I explained that I didn't know how to have sex besides in doggy style and missionary. He helped me learn how to do things on top, and since then we try to take turn. When I first started on top, I would fall over to the side and just groan because my thighs would be on fire. Sometimes women haven't learned certain things. I'm lucky that I feel super comfortable around my guy. Some girls haven't had this luxury yet. Personally, I think the reason most people suck in bed is that sex is exercise. Clearly the general public isn't good at exercise. If you can't exercise even a little, chances are good you suck in bed, male or female, unless you're just doing oral that takes minimal effort. My wife and I used to have a frustrated sex life. The sex itself was pretty nice when it happened, but it was infrequent. We understood each other's bodies, no difficulty orgasming, but she was always sort of unsure, I guess, and it didn't really flow for either of us with much abandon or creativity or enthusiasm. Well, now years and many ups and downs later, we have gradually gone from being emotionally kind of dimwit to emotionally literate and self-aware. We're constantly aware of and caring of each other's mental situation and communicate easily about it. And our love has greatly deepened and feels a lot simpler, in a way, and more constant. And, as if by magic, actually it's obvious why in hindsight. Now we have more sex and the sex is fucking incredible. Whole body, whole heart, no thinking, like a dance. I think for many couples who have been together for a while, beyond the initial novelty, being intimate and secure emotionally is a prerequisite for great sex. Or perhaps for many people, period, based on their emotional makeup and perhaps bad experiences in the past. This may be the case more for women than men, at least initially or on average, although my own experience of sex has gradually become just as dependent on and heightened by emotional connectedness as my wife as I've become a more open person. I have no fucking clue if this will make sense to anyone. It's Sunday and I've had several drinks. I agree, but the only person that gives them the pass is their so. Whether you have male or female plumbing or both, if you are bad at using it, your sex opponent should tell you, gently, coach you to being better. There are plenty of instructional videos out there to help too. Look, communication is so key in these situations. Yes, some women can be dead fishes in bed or seem ungenerous. I've had some relationships flame out because we weren't sexually compatible, but it was never because we didn't try to figure something out or try something else. I do like a submissive partner in some regard, as long as I know she's enjoying it. A candid, but polite conversation can go far. Tell her that if she doesn't satisfy you in bed, she's going to get a spanking. My ex bragged about how good she was at blowjobs. Scraped my dick with her teeth every time. I had a one-night stand after breaking up with her that didn't scrape up my dick. Much more enjoyable. And talk with my successful with women male friends. Women are quite. The fuck did I just read? Communicate people. Unnatural revulsion to semen? There's nothing wrong or unnatural to not liking semen. It's gooey, salty and can taste from decent to disgusting. Deleted. Seems to be lack of communication above all, especially if you are running into the same problems with multiple women. Asterisk doesn't move and is only a passive recipient of pleasure. If they're not moving they aren't receiving any pleasure, maybe they don't know how to say they aren't in the mood. Asterisk foreplay is only for her never for you, maybe your idea of foreplay isn't theirs. Asterisk frozen hands never move or stimulate partner, maybe your idea of stimulation isn't theirs and they don't want to be there. Asterisk unnatural revulsion at seminal fluid, WTF do you even mean by that? Been watching so much porno that you think everyone wants a facial? Asterisk always wants to be on bottom, again do they even want to be having sex with you? Asterisk rarely initiate, maybe it's because they aren't getting what they want to. Asterisk lack enthusiasm, see above. Asterisk thinks penetrative sex must be so good for men that it's all they need to offer in bed to be great, see above. Asterisk unwilling to discuss it and / or super defensive and projecting if their partner brings it up, depends what is being brought up, is it just what you want and constant criticism, it's less of an unpopular opinion and more what are men gonna do it about it. It's not like most of us would chance not having sex to criticize a girl's technique. Porn indoctrinates our society from a very young age. It doesn't just affect men, but the women too. And I'm not the only one, grew up thinking the way to have sex is to splay over something and let the man do whatever he wanted to me. Good sex does not look like porn, but where are we to learn that? Furthermore, who opens the discussion when men believe they should be dominate bordering on violent and always be in control, yet both partners are dissatisfied? Foreplay is more important for women than men, biologically speaking. However, in my and most of the women I know, foreplay is usually just a blowjob, that gives me nothing. It actually makes me dry up because I'm focusing on the task so much. I have to speak up and ask for attention, which is again not something we're taught is okay, and I still struggle with it, and by the time my body has been prepared, his dick needs more sucking to get back in the game. Can't tell you how many blowjobs I've given as the only course before sex. Luckily, my body gets wet very easily, so while it isn't always the best, sometimes I'm just able to completely skip everything and go to penetration. Which for women, doesn't feel as good as you might imagine. Those screaming porn stars are lying again. Most of the sensation and pleasure of sex stuff comes from the clit, and internal stimulation can range from good, to weird, to not much at all. Lastly, I have a huge dislike of semen, but I am and swallow it and rub it all around anyway, because I'm supposed to. It's not unnatural to not want sticky, gross tasting globs of goo all over your face, stinging your eyes, making your throat feel raw, cooling on your stomach, sliding off your back. In fact, if you want to talk natural, that stuff should only go in the vagina, but women are expected to gleefully roll around it in and eat it for breakfast. Guys don't ever kiss me after a blowjob, only they're allowed to be repulsed by their own fluids. Everyone's different, but I'm included in the huge group of women that are stuck in the sex is for male pleasure mentality. It's hard to break out of, and not well received every time. But as I'm always told that everything's my fault and I just have to communicate, so shall I leave you with the same advice if you want your partner to consider something they didn't think of doing on their own. I mean, a lot of the enthusiasm that men expect is just lies fed to them by porn. The majority of women don't naturally moan like that, and trying to keep up appearances to make it sexy for him take away substantially from my sexual experience when I'm only actually having an orgasm maybe 15% of the time. Most women physically cannot orgasm from vaginal intercourse alone. And it's hard to feel bad for the guy that orgasms 100% of the time when I'm not getting anything from it. Like, yeah, I'll put on a show for him, right on top, touch my hair, hold my tits. But that just makes me so focused on what I'm doing for him that I feel absolutely nothing. Unnatural revulsion at seminal fluid. Unnatural. I mean, I vibe with some of your sentiments, but man, slime is gross, my guy. I wouldn't want that shit anywhere near me. I can't blame any woman that wouldn't either. I think the main thing here is that it's wrong to comment on how anyone is like in bed to others. It's nobody's business but the two, or more if you're into that, people that have had sex. The things you've listed above can be a result of a lot of things: inexperience, emotional discomfort, physical discomfort, feeling unsatisfied, etc. None of these are bad, and can easily be solved by communication. What doesn't help is all the childish comments based around whether people are good in bed or not. It's setting stupid expectations for regular people and is what stops people from communicating. Threads like this are the reason I, as a disabled person, will never have sex. People are mean AF and I'm not willing to have anyone say this shit behind my back. Can't be bad at sex if you have no sex, smiling face with sunglasses. I will confess and say that I don't exactly what I'm doing in bed, my partner and I don't do it very often and I don't exactly like doing it. I'm bad in bed and I admit it. There is nothing unnatural about being repulsed by seminal fluid, and women don't have to swallow your nasty load to be a decent lover. That sounds like a communication problem. If you're not getting what you want out of your partner, it's because you're not opening your mouth and speaking up about it. Personally, I love being the submissive role. Being dominant kind of turns me off. If she's dead fishing it, she probably isn't as interested as you think she is. Most aroused women won't be completely still. Your claim that they get a pass is bullshit. Men talk plenty of shit about starfish and dead fish women in bed. It's literally your first complaint in your list. Men and women can equally be bad at sex. The fact that women are more open about their displeasure doesn't mean society gives them a pass about their own shortcomings. And, also, let's be fair about this. Most men always have an orgasm during sex, and on top of that, the man's orgasm is pretty much taken as the end of sex. Meanwhile, 50% of women in relationships don't experience orgasm during intercourse.